Yeah, that's right. That's right. Allison, you got your cows bred?
Yeah, we're done. The bulls are in. We're done. We just bred heifers this year. That's all we did. Since I outbid another livestock agent for a bull, I thought I better use him.
You better use him. I had to buy me two down the road, so
Well, there you go.
that's what I did too. I bred heifers and just put bulls in. So
Yeah, that's what we did. But just so much going on. It's just hard to do it all.
yeah, I need to work on my facilities too. So
Yeah, we're gonna redo some of ours too. Okay, well, is this Seth? Is this gonna be on YouTube as well?
It should already be there.
Okay.
I was just confirming with logging on.
yeah, it is.
Hard to do it all.
You see
Yeah,
it,
I need
John?
to work on my facilities too. So
Uh oh. I better hush up.
yeah, it's there.
Hmm.
Then I guess we can go ahead and get started. There's a few people on here, and I know there's a few more that registered that will hopefully join us as we get started here. Um, Glad that everybody could join us here for our December Have You Heard It Livestock series. Tonight we have with us Will Thompson is going to be our speaker. I'm pretty sure most of you have probably seen him around at an auction or cash sale somewhere across the state, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about marketing our cattle here in North Carolina. So we'll go ahead and turn it over to him and let him take it over.
Well, thank you. It seems like in 2020, this is becoming a common way of doing meetings. It's not my choice by any means because I don't feel like it's tougher to have some interaction, but we'll do what we can. And at any point in time during, I've got a slideshow we'll run through, and at any point in time during that, if any of you listening in have a question, comment, feel free to just speak up, and we can move through, keep it very casual. We'll see if I can get this come up here. Everybody see that kind of full screen?
Yeah, she don't even know.
Yeah, okay.
She ain't never seen one of those big
like
that.
I guess I'll start talking a little bit about from a marketing perspective, share a little bit about how we market our cattle, and working together with neighbors and other producers, like-minded producers, to try to market your cattle to the fullest extent. See if I can get this thing to advance the way I want it to. First thing you've got to kind of evaluate is what's your current method of marketing your feeder cattle, and marketing goes from feeder cattle all the way up through the culls and bulls and cows as well as replacement stock. But you're selling your calves private treaty to someone, working through your weekly livestock markets, uh, utilizing what feeder calf sales or buying stations or such that we've got around in the country now. Are you already currently working through marketing with load lots, doing some retained ownership, or finishing some cattle, whether it be at home or sending those cattle west to be finished, retaining them, and then selling them on the grid? And then are you doing the very common things like this year is really caught a lot of steam, the farm to plate uh, deal where you're finishing at home and marketing marketing your product locally. So looking at current your current marketing protocol, are you castrating calves, dehorning if you have any horned cattle? Are you weaning, vaccinating? Uh, Something as simple as ear tagging at birth, or when you get them up for that first processing, parasite control time of year, you're doing these kind of things. And if you're not, I would want you to consider doing just if you're at that step where you're ready to move forward from into some sort of management protocol, any or all of these. So just you got to start with looking at where you are currently and where you want to go. I'll say this quite a bit through this presentation. It all begins with management in some shape or form. Controlled breeding seasons. If you're spread out, try to get those cattle into breeding groups where you can optimize marketing opportunities with those breeding groups. Genetics absolutely matter. The importance of buying quality bulls or utilization of AI, but buying good bulls, good breeding stock, good replacements, or raising your own, evaluating their genetic potential is very important. Being on a sound animal health program, working with your local veterinarian, extension personnel, whomever to develop a good sound animal health program, doing proper land management, utilization of annual cool and warm season product, seed and products to help maximize, the number of head you can run per acre, but still being a good steward of the land. High quality mineral program, very important. I've seen so many times that producers, well, yeah, I've got salt in front of them. Well, that's important, but a good, well-rounded, high-quality mineral will go a long ways from a performance standpoint, breedback standpoint, on and on. And that's just a couple of things. The list could go 1,000 different ways, but always with the mindset that you're trying to improve your cattle and the way that you're farming. Basic management, looking at this height number, I put 75 days. Ideally, you'd love to have it at 30 to 45, but for most of us, if you're running any numbers at all, it's kind of hard to keep in, much less than that 75 mark. But at 75, you can kind of start working with some groups of cattle that will be, like type and kind and size when it comes to that weaning period, and that sort of thing. Doing pre-breeding season, BSE on your bulls. Worst thing you can do is kick a bull out there in the pasture and say, well, he was good last year, and just assume that he's going to be good this year. Get him out there, and in 60 days you're seeing a cow that he bred the first day you put him out there. Well, is she the problem or is he the problem? So having that reassurance that he's sound, ready to go, checked out by the vet, do a semen evaluation on him, very important. Pull those bulls out of the pasture to control your calving interval. Make sound culling decisions on those cows that come up open. Open cow costs you just as much to keep her. Costs you just as much to keep her as it does a cow that's raising a calf at side. Pulling those bulls out, another thing you do is you can, by controlling that breeding season, you eliminate a lot of the concerns about having bred heifers that you don't have to disrupt later on. Moving those late bred cattle to another calving group or market as a short bred animal, and get them out of your herd. Genetics, using bulls or sourcing bulls from sales or producers that know something about. Buying bulls from in performance tested situations where they're putting a lot of information out there. We have tons of information, data, genomics, all kinds of tools that we can use today for on making those bull and female selection on the purebred end especially, but even using some genomics on the commercial cattle now to look for certain traits. I don't like to get wrapped up in EPDs from a single trait standpoint. You can put yourself in a bad situation in a generation or two chasing a number, whether it be a big time negative birth weight or way too much performance or too much milk. You can get yourself in a mess that'll take you years to get out of. Evaluate your cow herd. Look at say, if you need to add a little birth weight, don't be afraid to add it. If you're wanting to use a terminal sire and wanting those calves to be just as heavy at weaning and yearling weight as you can, chase that a little bit, but careful about keeping those daughters. Remember that they're going to have higher requirements just due to their weaning and their performance EPDs. Top genetics do cost money. However, I feel like that they, utilizing those better genetics will make you money for sure. We utilize a fair amount of AI breeding. We've got cattle set up right now that I guess we'll start breeding this weekend. So if you retain replacement heifers, I always like to go out and evaluate her dam. Right now we're in the fescue belt that she shed clean in the summer. Her udder quality, teat size, over the past few years, keep records. What's the weaning weights for her prior progeny? Did she just have a good year, or does she one of those cows that raises a stomp down and good calf every year? The use of sound functional bulls, I can't emphasize that enough. You can move a herd forward quicker with the right kind of sire than you can pretty well any other tool that you do there with as far as genetics. And of course, both those are AI stud sires, but it's obvious those bulls are big, stout, big hipped. This country, we need big middle cattle that can eat this fescue grass, that can process it. We've got to have cattle that'll shed hair, so on and so forth. Herd health, strong immunity begins with the cow. Get your cows, work with your vet or agents, get your cattle on an annual vaccination program for these reproductive diseases, along with your virals and clostridials. Sound parasite control program. I'm not personally a big fan of the, if somebody running a farm store, they might get mad at me for saying this, but I'm not a big fan of the 5-liter jug of Ivomec or ivermectin for $50. I feel like that the label claims on the name brand products that they've had to prove that label. Once again, purchase quality minerals, records. You can never keep too many records. We keep them on telephone, on a book, computer, all kinds of places where if one gets misplaced, we've still got another. Castrate bull calves, whether you do it at birth or sometime in that earlier 3 months or younger in age. If you make sure that there's 2 seeds in the pouch. I've seen so many times where you've got a really good calf that's been banded and got one testicle up in him, and he's staggy, and more or less that's going to call for almost a surgical procedure with an experienced cattleman or veterinarian. Dehorn those horn calves, and just something as simple as putting an ID tag in to identify who and what it is. Getting into kind of some of the working together to try to make some load lots, or however you want to go, or just trying to put more cattle in front of a person at one time. I will say single source, one iron cattle is the best way of doing things. However, it's in North Carolina, Virginia, it's not the norm. Producers are going to have to work together, to put some composite loads together. I feel like the roundtable discussion, producers should have similar goals in their cattle production system. Meet with each other, evaluate your calf crop inventory, discuss, make a marketing plan, stick to it. Help each other when you go through that process. We work together. There's three producers that pretty well we sell calves together. We market 6 to 7 tractor trailer loads annually, all in the fall of the year. We work our cattle together. We're at one place, all of us are at another. We look, it always gives each of us an opportunity to look at the other producer's cattle, see if we need to do something to try to make, any way we can do things to make our cattle more consistent. One thing that we did, we all use the exact same identification ear tag, where when our cattle come to our barn, they're sorted up. It makes it difficult once they go into that common pen of a load to pick whose ever's out. So after they've been weighed, meet with a marketing agent, have a good open discussion, ask questions, lay out a plan and follow it. You all got to be on the same page with weaning dates, vaccination protocols. One doesn't need to be, using Zoetis and other Mariel or vice versa, try to have a consistent protocol there when vaccinating and how you process and handle the cattle. At weaning time, kind of the 45 days is acceptable, 60 is better. A lot of your order buyers are more enthused to buy 60-day wean calves now than ever before. They just give less trouble. Have those cattle broke to water, whether it be a fountain or open top, but where they're drinking out of some kind of fixture instead of the creek, because where they're going on a yard, they're going to be drinking out of a fountain or a trough. Keep the cattle as comfortable as possible. And I understand when you're weaning, sometimes you got to put them in a mud lot, but when those cattle get quiet, get them out on some grass. Feed high quality hay at weaning. Don't go get a bale that's been sitting out under the trees for 2 years and stick in there. You want to feed the very best bale of hay that's on the farm. And if you have to, go buy some good oat hay or orchard grass, something they'll eat. That's the high stress time in that calf's life. Keeping cool, clean, fresh water in front of him will do him worlds of good as far as his health going forward. Obtaining those weaning weights is useful information when you pull them off the cow. It gives you a baseline to go by then. You can kind of figure some weight per day of age, and then you can also, at weaning, from weaning to when you sell the cattle, if you've got a scale head that'll process that information, you can see what kind of performance your cattle are doing, average daily gain, make decisions. Say you've got sire group A with such and such bull, and those calves are putting 2.5 on a day, and you've got this other bull and they're putting on 0.3. And it seems to be a common average throughout. It looks to me like you're going to start evaluating that sire as whether he needs to stay there or not. Get in your cattle. I understand a lot of people like to feed out of a wagon or creep feeder, but I can't emphasize the importance of getting on the ground, get in your cattle. Calm cattle will perform, they'll put on weight better, they'll convert feed better, they'll have less sickness, and they'll make you money. Buyers are paying on preconditioned cattle, they are paying for healthy cattle. 2 rounds of some sort of modified live vaccine, your virals, your IBRB, RSV, PI3, BVD, 2 rounds of Clostridial or commonly blackleg, round of Pasturella. There are several products out there now that combine the modified live and the Pasturella into one shot on that. Like I say, I like to use a name brand parasite control. Always follow BQA guidelines. Implant, that's totally up to you and what works in your marketing goals. Some programs don't allow for it, some do. I'm not scared of implanting at all unless we're going into a natural or some other protocol that will work there, better to your benefit. And make sure your heifers that you're marketing are open. If that means vet palpating or disrupting to make sure you've seen them cycle or that they're open, is very important. Bred heifers cost the industry a lot of money every year. Nutritional program, work with a good feed rep to get a concentrate that will give you the best results for your feeding practice. If you're bunk feeding, make sure the cattle have adequate bunk space, and what I mean by that is if they're all lined up at the bunk, they've got room to eat, and there's not somebody having to stand back and wait for crumbs. That calf's going to be a poor performer. Once again, feed high quality hay. Have good grazing if possible. It's never a bad idea to have a little small pasture for your calves with some kind of annual forage on that will help optimize those gains and allow you to not cut back so much on feed, but optimize everything that you're doing. Clean source of water is probably the most important thing. Free choice mineral. Feeding your cattle and preconditioning should be making you money by putting weight every pound you put on. You should be able to, if your genetics are there every pound, unless we get, right now currently for what cattle are worth, fee conversion, you're making money for every pound you put on one. Marketing cattle by the truckload, 48, 49,000, depending on where they're going, you can get away with 50. Cattle should be similar type and kind, and keeping weight spreads as tight as possible, and be willing to pull calves that don't work. I end up getting into it with one of our guys every year, and say this because related to him, and then one of the other gentlemen, they'll have a couple old big calves that just don't work with the load, and we pull them off because they don't match. They're big, excellent performing calves, but we're just having to market them a little earlier and do some different things with them. Calves and yearling type cattle don't match, and I've got a slide here in a second that'll kind of show that picture, and I'll go into that a little more detail. Work closely with your marketing agent. Communication is very important, and follow your protocols on vaccination and what you're doing. Of course, this is old USDA grading frame size and thickness. I wish they would update it, because the cattle today, I don't think they really portray today's cattle. They do some, but for the most part, our cattle or most of our cattle are better than any of these pictures. But it still gives you, from a skeletal standpoint, we want to be producing M&L frame cattle, stay away from the shorts, and of course, number one, number two, muscle thickness cattle. And what I mean by putting these two calves, I don't know, I just pulled them off the internet somewhere, but they're probably not a terribly long way from each other on weight. But the baldy calf is obviously more of a yearling type. You look at the long nose, the tail switch way down below that hock, just the skeletal development in the calf, the age, just appears agey compared to the Charolais cross calf that's, that tail's tucked up there high on that rear end, got that short nose, very youthful appearing. And like I say, these two calves, just for sake of talking, say they weigh the same thing, they don't match on a truck together. Putting it all together, just simple math things, it's going to take about 80, 82, 3 6-weight calves, like 6 weights to make a load. You're shooting for that 48.5, 49.5 gross weight on the truck. Weighing cattle prior to load out day, eliminate surprises. Try to know what you're loading. We work all of our cattle up pretty close to sale day, where we can project, and we'll usually hit those weights pretty close together. We won't miss things by a pound or two very seldomly. 550 pound steer and a 775 pound steer don't fit on the same truck. And as we're working together with some folks, you can sort up that 600 pound load and a 750 pound load and get rid of both of those calves, but they go on 2 different trucks. Use those scales to make sorting decisions. Your county cattlemen may have a set of platform scales. You may have them, platform or under a chute or big scale, whatever, but using those scales make you sorting decisions based off of that. Weighing, record weights along with ID and sex of the animal, compile information with the other producers or your marketing agent, keep weight spread as tight as possible. It'll be much more attractive. We have some loads that go out where the lightest calf on that truck and the heaviest calf on that truck are within 60 pounds of each other, and that's getting pretty tight. 100, 125, even 150 pound top to bottom is acceptable. You go to getting much over that, and they go to start calling it more of an uneven load. Here's one of my load sheets that is color coded by our producer, whoever's who. It's got, of course, the visual ID tag. We ID tag everything. We've done the source and age, and then we've had some other marketing opportunities where it was recognized, got a description, what the calf is. That was the date. Notice that 8/2, 8/3. Those days are the days that calf was weighed and processed, the weight and sex. A lot of information there that, like I say, but each producer can look at that sheet and so, well, it's obviously that's a 7-weight load of steers are part of it. They can look and see by the color that I've broken it out in that of what calves they have to load that day. Your branded programs, and this seems to be growing every day. Of course, the all natural is a big program right now that seems to be having quite a bit of success. Getting into a breed branded certified Angus, certified Hereford, or whatever. NHTC, non-hormone treated cattle, which that's going to be getting more into that natural line of things. PVP certifieds, where you're aging sourcing them with a third party. That's got a little value, not as much as it used to. I think you're seeing more the all natural and then into a branded program of that line that's probably making more money now. This is just a description sheet. A lot of you probably seen this. I just pulled this off of one of the North Carolina contractors that are selling a lot of cattle. Of course, got who they are. The weight variance knows this is a 150-pound spread. 2 loads of steers based at $7.95. Got a description on your colors. Make sure that when you're working with your contractor, if you've got a red white faced calf or a pink nose Charolais, if you're intent on sending that calf, it's not a problem. Your contractor just needs to be sure that it goes on that description. So be sure, and of course, then you've got the quality, your muscling, flesh, frame on the cattle, delivery date, pencil shrinking them, how these cattle, they're going to be weighed on a truck. We weigh all of our cattle on the ground so we can, if we need one more calf or need to take one off, we can always, do that pretty easily. It's a little more difficult. And then, of course, got your vaccination protocol and what the cattle will get. Then you get the sale day. Hopefully going to be a good day for all of us. When you get to that day, most of these sales that are, whether they're doing them in a barn or on a online platform, you can listen or watch, that sort of thing, and know what your cattle do. Delivery day, be sure to, like I say, once again, be in contact with your marketing agent. You're going to haul your cattle to whatever loading facility, maybe at your own farm. Sort them, get them weighed up on certified scales, and get this cattle loaded. And of course, at the end of the day, we're all wanting to get paid and get the most we can out of our cattle. I'll take this time, if anybody's got any questions, a couple of little things. Your reputation as a producer is probably single-handedly the most important thing that you can do over delivering good quality cattle. If you send good cattle every year, buyers recognize that. And one thing we've noticed on our cattle is we have seem to have people fight over our cattle now, and that's what I want. Have repeat buyers year after year on, say, the same load of cattle, and they're having to fight with others to get them. Don't just sell your cattle. Marketing, market your livestock. And I'm kind of one of these people. I do not like the word premium on a branded program or a protocol or weaning and preconditioning. I feel like the 775-pound feeder steer is worth X number of dollars today, and everything you don't do to him is a discount, and it's costing you money. And I feel like more producers would get in that mindset that it's costing them money by not doing these things. We'd have a lot more people on board doing different protocols and that sort of thing. This time, if anybody's got any questions, comments, I'll be happy to try to answer anything I can.
How long have you been doing your truckload sales?
We've been at it probably 10 years, Allison.
Mm-hmm.
Started the very first year with one load, and it's grown to 6 or 7 loads a year now.
Do you typically have the like the last few years, has it typically been the same person buying your cows? I know you said there was they started really getting competitive. So is it usually the same people buying them, or?
A lot of times, and if they don't are not the ones that get them bought, they're the backup bidder.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's one thing, and that's where I touch on the reputation side of things. How vitally important it is that your reputation means everything. Loading good cattle, being willing to to cull a calf that just, well, he's probably okay, but he just really doesn't need to go today. And so yeah, we've noticed that. I mean, noticed that repeat folks are after our cattle every year.
Are you doing any creek feeding with your cattle throughout the year?
Yes, we'll put in a good creek feed. They actually on our calves for the most part are well, mine are October, November's, but my dad and a couple of other guys, the two others we work with, they'll start in September. But yeah, those feeders are kind of going in in now on those older calves and giving them an opportunity to take a little pressure off mom, and it'll calculate into the extra weaning weight. It will also, in my opinion, when you go to wean those cattle, they already know what a bite of feed is, and now we will not keep those feeders full until weaning. We don't want to wean a big butter fat calf. We want to optimize the performance as much as we can, but we want that calf as much as anything when he comes in and goes into the lot. And weaning time, stressful period for him. He understands what a bite of feed is, and it seems like it takes that weaning stress way down.
And whenever you wean, what percent body weight are you feeding those calves feed,
Probably somewhere there for a while, just under 2%, somewhere in that neighborhood. We're wanting to push the cattle a little, but we're not wanting to we want that metabolism to carry on where, we're not trying to finish them. We're trying to precondition them. So we want them to grow. We're not trying to put a bunch of fat under the hide, because you'll a lot of times you'll watch on some of these board sales and things, you'll see a load of grazing kind of cattle, and do a lot of them up in your country and up toward Boone and whatnot. But you'll see those cattle been kicked out on grass all summer. They'll weigh 850, 900, and they'll outsell a load of fat 700-pound steers because of the body condition. Buyers looking at them cattle go on and really perform, and they've got a lot of compensatory gain in them. So we're not trying to get them fat. We're just trying to get them to convert as much feed as we can into pounds of body weight, and without getting those cattle over conditioned.
And I know y'all sell August, I think, late August.
Yep.
Is that, do you think that's about as broad as it is long, but is that a pretty good time? I mean, you get later on, I know, especially October, it's kind of hard month.
Statistically speaking, the July, August market, even the first week or so of September, are going to be your strongest. We try to sell all our cattle in August, and we'll start loading the next week. We'll sell the first week of August, and then like I say, start putting calves on trucks the very next week, and it may be toward the end of the month on, say, a light load of heifers or something like that. But we try to get them pretty well spoken for that first week of August. We have sold in July before, but August seems to work well for us. Seems like the farther you go into fall, you get into that October lull. I never liked, when I was preconditioning cattle I never liked putting cattle in October. It seemed like that was a good time for cattle to get problems, getting some weather change, cool at night and still pretty warm during the day. And then trucking gets to be an issue. You got I think west of Mississippi, most cattle are spring calvers, and there's a pile of those calves hitting the road in that fall of the year. They're pulling them in and putting them on the road, so trucks get to be harder to find. Yards start filling up, so some of your demand deals change a little. That Chicago Board of Trade just seems like that August board, July, August boards always seems to be strong. Now there's been some years where things did exact opposite. But for the most part, year in, year out, if you look at probably 20-year average, you're going to be hard pressed to get away from that.
And I guess most of them is what, 2% sell fee or whatever,
Yeah.
shrink. I'm sure 2%.
Most, I mean, most of any of your sales is going to be something 2% sale fee, and then of course we sell our cattle on a 2% pencil shrink. So 700-pound calf's going to have 14 pound taken off the shrink. You know, I just think that's kind of the industry standard.
Mhm.
Any other questions? Well, I know darn well I didn't cover everything that well.
You did a good job there. Good job.
Oh yeah.
I think that producers are going to have to look at this more, don't you? I mean, I think, I don't know. I just think we're going to have to do something to get the most money for our calves, you know?
Yeah, I think that is it's I mean, I can't see us ever moving away from it unless there's something better comes down the road. Yes, it requires a little extra work, but it's I look at it as no different than doing a soil and water project or something like that. We're trying to provide a wholesome product, and we want for us to make money. I feel like that the next person at the feed yard and so on's got to make money too. It's how the commerce makes the world go round, and for us to send something on to somebody else and it not give problems, it keeps them in business and keeps us in business in turn.
And I think you're right. I think if you don't do it, you're going to pay somebody to do it, whether it's castrate or vaccinate or whatever. You're going to pay somebody to do it if you don't want to.
Somebody's going to make going to take advantage of the benefit of in some step of that equation. Like I say, whether you're selling, little light bull calves and somebody castrates them and backgrounds them for a little while, somebody's going to make that money. So my mindset's, why not me?
Mm-hmm.
I've done the work with the cow and the bulls and getting them calved and fed and all that. Why not optimize it?
Are y'all any kind of certifications? Do y'all have any of that?
We sold we've done the PVP certified source and age verified cattle. We did that for quite a few years until it just didn't seem like, we're still EID tagging all the cattle because it seems like there's some places that sort of appreciate that. And I'd say there's more and more cattle when they hit a feed yard are getting an EID button now. So, buyers potentially saying, if it's just a penny lick on one, $7 on a 7-weight calf, tag costs $2.25. So I've made $4.75 for every one of them. Well, that doesn't sound like much. 70 of them, $300. So, I feel like that it's the programs we're looking real hard at all natural, GAP certification. That's something we're studying awful hard right now. And I think it's going to be around for a while. I don't think that's going away.
Yeah, I agree. You got GAP certification, tobacco, and all kinds of stuff. So I'm like you. I don't think it's going away. So
No.
Just a little expensive each year, but hey, if it pays for your calves, I mean,
Yeah, well, it ain't too little of an expense, but I mean,
it's tough for somebody with 10 or 15 to go through the full GAP deal. It really is. The cost is going to be pretty high.
Yeah. So for somebody like y'all, if y'all are working together, like, Will could get GAP certified and he could put all his cattle, if they were going to be the set group doing it all the time, then they could put all their cattle under him and just do one GAP certification.
Yeah, the family cattle could. Now the other two producers that work with us, because when they come out and actually do the audit, where they're looking, you're tying your name to a lot of stuff if you're going to sign.
You would have to be willing to. Yeah, you would have to be willing to know them and know what they're doing before you could put your name on it, right? And
the GAP and the All Natural and all that, they're wonderful programs. And like I said, I feel like a 775-pound steer is worth X number of dollars today, and everything you don't do is a discount or costing you money. But even with that discount or not capitalizing on that opportunity, getting calves on a truckload, preconditioning them, doing the right thing, sending that product on to be better is a big step over one at a time them or doing some other things. So, and I'm a full believer of the auction method and the weekly stockyard. It's got a place for everybody, and I wouldn't dare. I mean, I sat behind a microphone for a long time and sold cattle in the stockyard and hope to do it again one day. But that's a surefire true price discovery. I believe in it and think there's ways that if you've got the means and the ways of working together with a few producers, and you can still work with that same market, just instead of selling them one at a time or in groups of 5, hey, we're going to sell the 3 of us are going to sell a tractor Truckload this time.
Yeah.
And there'll be some people on the telephone waiting on.
All right, so do y'all commingle your calves just on loadout, or are you doing that before?
At loadout.
At loadout. Okay.
At loadout. We're all on each other's farms enough throughout that weaning period and processing period. We kind of know what's what, and like I say, I keep all the computer records. I do use a scale head, data-enabled scale head. When we do the first process, and I apply that EID button, scan that tag in, and record. The first time takes a second or two longer because I've got to put a section description next to the calf before I hit weigh. When we do the second round, it's just nothing but scanning that tag and hitting weigh. Everything pops up, gives me an opportunity to look at that calf and make sure that I've got everything right from the first time. Keep track of that average daily gain. We've broken some cattle out before by sire group and seen that a particular bull was doing way better than others on average daily gain performance and that sort of thing. Allowed us to do make some management decisions based on that. You can do a set of scales will pay for themselves in no time. Any other questions?
I just want to say thanks, Will. I've been listening, but since we've been this is Steph, since we've been broadcasting to YouTube from my computer, I kind of stayed silent, but that was good. That was really good talk.
Thank you.
Yep, definitely want to say thank you to Will, and thanks to everybody for getting on tonight. If there's no more questions, we can go ahead and wrap it up for this evening. Thank y'all again, and I hope everybody has a very Merry Christmas and a good rest of the year, and hopefully we don't get iced out too bad tomorrow. But thank y'all.
Laura, if anybody you've got my phone number. John, I know you've got several of those. Seth, y'all got my phone number for producer. Had some questions. Some people don't like asking questions over the airwaves. I'd be, feel free to pass my phone number along and be happy to help anybody any way we can.
Thank you very much. Good job. So.
Thank y'all. Y'all have a Merry Christmas.
Thanks, Will.